First off, thank everybody for being here and thank the ones that's on the computer that not here in person. But we're making it through another month. I was saying everything about that this morning. I was like, good Lord, it's already the end of October. Before you know it, that old fat man's gonna be coming around and it ain't me. The one in the red suit, so I hate that time of year, but it happens. But I know everybody's busy. And again, I appreciate everybody being here for this meeting. And Tammy and myself, and well, Ann was on that call. Monday, I called you. We're gonna ask a favor that everybody here and it's online, how about reaching out to other contractors and invite them to these meetings? And see if we can get a little more involvement. They try to use that excuse that they're too busy. All of us in here are.
Yes, sir.
Sam,
How long are we gonna continue to do hypertension, Charlotte?
Probably
Question.
continually.
Already, I see a better turnout once I go to where it's not.
Yeah. One good thing. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Speaking on that also, because I did write out all of those cards.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we passed them out.
Thank you.
Can we just make some general, like, we can probably plan out, right, every
Oh,
last
absolutely.
Wednesday for all of next year, and then we can just fill in the location. That would help out.
So are you saying bring some to the meetings for you guys to, okay, sure. Yeah, we've got that.
That's provided we can get in. We have you're talking about the blank ones, just to keep the information filled in.
I mean, the location may change, but we can put the date on it and then let you kind of determine that. Each month we can fill it in. Okay.
Yeah, anything we can do that, like I was gonna say, they can't use the excuse that they're too busy because everybody in here is.
And we'll talk a little bit about that in our I think one of our last slides. It talks about inviting, folks to the meetings, but we'll get the cards out available for you.
But with that, you wanna,
I'm ready when you're ready.
I'm waiting on you.
All right. Good morning, folks. For those of you that are online, if you would kindly, if you have not already, make sure that you type your name, company name, and any contact information you'd like to share in the chat section. If you would kindly, please put your microphone on mute and then unmute yourself when you need to speak. And if you don't remember, I assure you 22 people will say, you're on mute. So somebody will let you know. This meeting is being recorded and this video will be posted on the ncucc.org website along with a roster, and we are taping this so that transcription will be our minutes as well. Participant feature, if you're on online, if you want to raise your hand, somebody will acknowledge you, or 4 or 5 people will say, hey, Carl has something to share. So appreciate your time and attention. As Roger said, it's hard to believe that, we do this at the end of the month every month. I can't believe it's already the end of the month. It happens every month. And in just a few days, it will be November. And we are waiting on that guy in the red suit who will eventually show up to some homes. I'm thinking there's a few of you that might get left out. I'm not calling any names, Roger, but there's a few of you that might get left out. October.
Lewis didn't have to smile about that. I mean,
Well, he knew. He knew. October is Tackling Hunger Month. We get to this time of year and we start thinking about the folks that aren't going to have turkey dinners on Thanksgiving, or they're not going to have ham on Christmas. And quite honestly, people go hungry all year round. And typically those populations that are the hardest hit are the little ones and those that are past retirement age. But if you have the ability to donate non-perishable food items to your local shelter, you can do it at a homeless shelter, you can do it at a food bank, at a church, anywhere that you would like to donate foods. That's fantastic. And it doesn't just have to be non-perishable food items. You know, if you use EBT or what used to be called food stamps, you can't purchase certain products with that. You can't purchase toilet paper, paper towels, feminine hygiene products. Those things aren't covered by EBT. So if you want to donate some of those things, those are welcome as well. But things that you can do to help your food drive: canned goods, peanut butter, dry beans, brown rice, olive oil, nuts, and soups. But don't forget about salt and pepper. You know, those seasonings help as well. And if you throw in a dry cake mix or some icing, those are good things too for somebody that, you know, has a little one with a birthday. You can always donate money. Relief agencies like Action Against Hunger, the Hunger Project, Feeding America, and Share Our Strength always accept donations with the goal in mind to make sure that people aren't going hungry. And don't forget about the four-footed residents either. You know, I know that there's a food bank here in Charlotte, Second Harvest. They'll take dog food, cat food, canned items like that. Food banks make contributions of any kind whenever you can. A little bit goes a long way whenever somebody is going hungry. And if you want to help share that message, use the hashtag Tackling Hunger Month to post on social media and help spread that word. Halloween safety tips. If you have folks at your house that are going to be trick-or-treating of a certain age, you know, usually under about 4 feet tall, or if you've got somebody that's going to be supervising those folks, much like I like to do because I get the snicker tax, you know, have a way to get in touch with your kids. It used to be mom and dad went with us, and now it might be, hey, put your phone in the pocket and you can go on this street or that street, but make sure you can reach your kids. Check those treats before you eat them. Make sure that they're safe. I know, you know, I laughed. I saw a meme recently that said, THC treats, gummy treats, nobody's giving those away. They're too expensive to come by. But we are really being careful because fentanyl is a huge concern right now. So really keep an eye on those treats. Drive carefully. You don't know when one of those little folks is going to run out from between a couple of cars, excited to go to the next house. So just take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Wear light colored or reflective clothing or carry lights while you're trick-or-treating. You know, last month we talked about with hurricanes pulling those solar lights up and using those. Well, guess what? Double duty, triple duty. Make those work. If you can't find a flashlight, grab one of those solar lights. Look out for foods that your kids might be allergic to. Keep your home lit if you plan to give out candy. If you have your lights on and you wonder why everybody's pounding on your door and you don't have candy, it's because your light is on, and that is signifying that, hey, bring your little crumb snatcher up here. We're going to give them some candy and sugar them up. So make sure if you are handing out candy that you do leave your light on. And if you're going to be a Scrooge like me, make sure you turn that light off. I'm kidding. I live in an apartment. Nobody comes to my door anymore. Arm your security system, adjust your security cameras, and if you don't want it to go off every 30 seconds, if you are letting kids come and trick or treat, you might want to put it on a delay or turn it off for a little bit. And this last line kind of cracks me up. Use common sense. There's about 25 of us online and in this room, and each and every one of us has a different idea of what common sense is. Common sense If you're trick or treating, leave your light on. If you're not, turn it off. Wear reflective clothing, that sort of common sense. So just use common sense. Mr. Panzer, would you care to share a few words to these kind folks?
I would care, actually. I care deeply. Actually, that's the fourth C, is caring. So a couple of things here. The volume, we're still seeing it go up. I mean, everybody's bracing for next year, but we're still in the throes of increasing volume. It's created some stress. I've been around to a couple of these UCCs. I'm sure we'll get to the numbers, and you'll see increases in things like 3-hour notices and updates. The thing to remember is the 3 C's with all this. First of all, staying calm. You know, everybody's trying to cooperate. That'd be another C, but we're all trying to do that, but do it in a calm manner. I've heard calls where people are very irritated. I'm sure this is also happening in the field. So courteousness could be another C, but continuous communication through through the process. And that doesn't just stop at the 811 ticket that goes out. I mean, you want that to be as accurate as possible. Make sure you have your field information in there. There's another slide about that later. But it doesn't stop there. You know, communicate with your locators about your projects. So many of these projects are long haul fiber projects, and you know, they really demand continuous communication throughout. So just keep those in mind. And again, I can't stress calm enough. We're all out here, you know, trying to do our jobs, and we want to do that in a civil manner. That would be the 5th or 6th C, I think I mentioned. We are sending out letters to folks who are damaging without a ticket. Again, I thank Dominion and Piedmont for providing that information. Really curious to more understanding there's the why of why somebody would not call. One of those was, some of these are municipalities who are on that list. So like, for example, the city of Asheville, they had damaged a facility and did not call. And when I sent the letter out, I received a call back from their safety person in Asheville asking for details about it. And I gave him the information about the location and everything. And he goes, oh, I know what that was. He says they were removing concrete. Their streets folks were picking, you know, were replacing sidewalks, and they were pulling it up. And then they dropped a piece onto a gas line. They didn't understand, evidently, that lifting out concrete like that, disturbing the earth like that, does require a ticket. So this is where that kind of communication with these folks can help raise awareness and hopefully get folks to use the system for every job that does require a call. You know, as far as trying to say that people don't know about 811, I'm sorry. That argument is pretty thin these days, especially among professional contractors and certainly among municipalities. So we need to know more about the whys of why somebody would choose not to call. And that's what we're looking into. The DIRT report did come out this month, and what we saw in there, looking at the last 3 years of data that was comparable over the last 3 years, is that the major 3 items haven't really changed that are contributing factors to damages, and those would be the no calls running around 25%, locate issues, whether it's delayed locates or inaccurate locates or no locates, and excavation issues, specifically working, you know, inside the tolerance zone with mechanized before exposing, some cases failure to pothole. Also, going into that area is digging before the ticket is ready. You know, and for the 3 full days in our case. So what we're saying is it's a shared responsibility. All those 3 groups consistently over time have been the top 3 groupings. So one of the things that we really want to emphasize is looking in the mirror. Everyone that's here at the UCC has already kind of taken the first step. You're here at a meeting to talk about damage prevention, to share project information. So that's a really big first step. But if you're an excavator, look in the mirror. Think about how your company is utilizing 811. Are you using it for work that's actually taking place coming up within the time frame of that ticket. Or maybe there's a disconnect between your process of what's actually happening in the field and the person who's like that bird pecking the water. I just love those birds. That's just on autopilot. And so we really want to make sure that people are looking in the mirror. If you're a locator, are you doing everything you can? If you're a locate company, are you working to assure that these things get done on time? And all the way up the chain, if you're a corporate person looking at this dirt damage, the question is, what can you do as a company to either educate your own contractors, work with your locate contractors, etc. So these are the look in the mirror moments that we're talking about. We do have a new Western liaison. Yay. He just started this week. And we're super excited to have him out there. I was out at Silva and Cherokee for the last two UCCs, and I made sure to tell the folks in Silva, look, go easy on him. He's new, he's coming in, but he's from the area up there, so we believe that this is going to be excellent. And although Brian was great, we think Tyler's going to be even better and just make our team that much stronger. So we're excited about that. And basically, oh my God, enjoy this fall. These are some of the best colors in terms of the leaves that we've seen in years from what everyone is talking about it. And now the wind's blowing, it's blowing them around. It's wonderful. So enjoy that, enjoy the fall and stay safe. That's obviously, follow your Halloween instructions there. Don't be mean to the kids. Don't be handing out apples with switchblades in them or razor blades or something. I think that was like a 70s thing. There were things about that. Yeah, and to make sure that fentanyl's not in the Skittles bags. Other than that, that's what I have. If anybody has any questions for me, by all means, I'll be hanging here to answer those as we get into it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to speak to Tyler Ross is our new liaison in the western part of the state. You can see Ann's been so tough on him already. She broke his arm. Mm-hmm. He's wearing a cast. It didn't take long. She was already knocking him around, but we're really excited he's here with us and looking forward to working with him. Extraordinary circumstance. We've already had a little taste of that this year. Extraordinary circumstances like a hurricane or a snowstorm take place. Please visit the NC 811 website to see who has declared extraordinary circumstances and when their normal services will resume. Those are separated out by county. So if you're interested, you can just go over, slide down. Oh, Mecklenburg, here we go. Oh, there's Stanley. Let's go back up to Ash. Let's see what's happening there. All of that information will be on the extraordinary circumstance page under resources and member services.
Hey, Tammy, let me just add a couple things on that. So with extraordinary circumstances, a couple things. One, only the database contact can provide that information to the center. And that information will come directly to Leslie Brouillard. She has to collect that information in order for us to declare that information. There are some circumstances where she would confirm and then, also maybe create the paper trail a little later. But bottom line, you do have to provide that to Leslie. When you go out to that area that was on the screen there, there is an online form that you will fill out and then it will come to Leslie and she'll reach out to you. So we did have, some folks that declared for Ian, but everything is back in order. And just as a reminder, in your positive response, so if someone does declare extraordinary circumstance, that is going to come out on the ticket as an 888. And as Roger already knows, it's on page 8. Very good. So extraordinary circumstance exists, member utility is unable to complete, and that date will be on the locate ticket when they resume.
Yeah, because that is a requirement under the law that you can't just declare. You do have to state when you're going to be back to normal operations. So that's not it'd be great if we did. That's one of the requirements. So I know in the case of Ian, there was, I think, the longest I think it was out was a week. And my understanding is even in that case where the areas weren't impacted directly, that the locators were still, even under the extraordinary circumstances, were still going out and doing those locates. So just so folks are aware.
Thank you both. Bruce, you want to throw this one out, or you want me to handle this?
This is basically, very important, but make sure that you've got the correct field representative on your requests. Confirm that. Again, I can't stress enough, this communication has to happen outside the tickets. And if you put a number on there for someone in the office, that pretty much defeats the purpose of being able to have that communication go. So just make sure that you have someone with boots on the ground, their cell phone number included, so that folks can reach them if they have questions or, need to confirm more details about your job. And that's basically that in a nutshell.
Thank you, sir. And when you make sure you give the information for the person in the field, also make sure that their voicemail is set up, or that their voicemail is not full. A lot of times, and even I, when, if I need to call somebody, there are times I get those messages, the voicemail's full. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose, or the voicemail's not set up. So make sure your field contact does have their voicemail set up and is available to take messages if necessary. But you definitely want the person out there in the field to be the person that's answering questions, not someone sitting in an office in Colorado. Data and insights. Locate requests for the month of September 2022 versus 2021. You can see we've got an increase of 7.8% in locate requests. For the month of September, 219,532 locate requests. Last year for the month of September, 203,579. Folks, that's a 6.8% increase for the year overall. That's January 1 through September 30. 1,902,772 locate requests. Last year we were at 1.7. Transmissions up as well. Transmissions, 3.4% increase. Transmissions for the month of September, 1,169,779, and up for the year 3%. So far this year, January 1 through September 30, 10,254,566. And as always, the difference between the locate request and the transmission. The ticket or the locate request, that's what you're calling in. I'm putting in a fence. A transmission is how many utilities are notified about every single locate request. Right now, on average, for every single locate request, unless that changed as of the board meeting, we were at 5.4 transmissions per ticket. So in this area where I'm putting my fence, there might be water, sewer, gas, fiber, and electric. So there's 5 transmissions for 1 ticket. Ticket data for Mecklenburg County for the month of September. New tickets, 17,897 new requests. That is a 1.6% increase over September of 2021. Total tickets for the month of September, and keep in mind, total tickets do include retransmits and updates. Total tickets for the month of September, 31,379. That is a 2.9% increase over last year. Average locates per day for Mecklenburg County, 1,364. Year to date, Mecklenburg County, year to date, 158,656 new tickets. And believe it or not, that's a little bit of a decrease, 1.6%. However, year to date, we're still up 3.6%, 284,160. Again, January 1 through September 30. Ticket distribution. I know you're surprised, as always, to hear that of those 31,000 locate requests, 25,000 of those were in Charlotte. Huntersville, 2,084, Cornelius, Davidson, Matthews, and down the line from there. And I left Little Caldwell in there with 10. Damage events. Damage events reported for the month of September for Mecklenburg County were 179. And for anybody who's curious, Wake had 195. I knew Roger was looking. I'm sorry, 169. Apologies. I said that and I looked. Yeah, 169 damage events reported for the month of September. As always, if there is a damage, make sure that is reported. If there is a product release, to 911 first, then to the utility to let them know, and then to 811. It is a requirement of the law that you do notify the utility that's damaged and 811. Of those 100 counties, I believe on this list this month, 24 of those reported no damages. And I would love to think that's the case, but I wouldn't bet the farm on it. Again, just make sure they're reported. I left a couple of notes on here. The next state UCC meeting is Tuesday, November the 8th. That will be at Dominion Energy in Asheville. They are providing a lunch meal. So if you plan to attend, make sure that you RSVP. Otherwise, you are going to get a PB and J. The next LRPC meeting is Wednesday, November the 16th. That will be at the Event Center in Greensboro. It will be a hybrid meeting from 11 to 1. Visit the calendar section of North Carolina 811 events or calendar for a link to that. I did leave the Underground Damage Prevention Review Board on there. I'm going to ask Ann if she has any updates from that meeting.
So I was unable to attend that. Lewis and I were both in Texas for a CGA meeting, but my understanding was I think there were 9 cases. Everything went pretty well there. And then the hearing that was set forth is there's a little bit of setback on that due to some of the attorney information that if we do a hearing, any of the parties that are involved have to present evidence, speak on their behalf. And so, and if they don't, then certainly we'll have to determine whether that hearing is just pushed away. So that's some information that will be coming, you know, down the pipe. We've got some folks that will be rolling off the board, so there'll be some new appointees to the review board. And our next meeting will be January the 20th at 23.
Thank you for that. The North Carolina 811 board meeting was in Wilmington last Friday. So I'm going to ask Lewis as our executive director, then Carl Wilson as one of our board members, if they have anything they'd like to share.
Thank you. Well, yeah, first of all, one of the things that did come out of the meeting is that we have revised the associate membership agreements for the tier 2 and tier 3 associate memberships, and that includes locators and private line locators, etc. We're sending those out and asking those folks to sign the new agreements. Essentially, what they've done, these agreements, is tighten up the liability the release of liability to NC 811 for any activities that happen. And I've got that in my notes for next month as well. So you get a preview of that. But primarily it's just to make sure that folks understand that we're not responsible for the decisions that somebody makes to pick one of those private line locators, for example, that is an associate member. Other than that, it was, we've confirmed our slate of candidates. Those are going out to the membership for votes. And we will assemble all that for the January annual meeting and report those results back there. It was a good meeting, a really good meeting. I felt that we had a lot of good information that was covered, and a lot of good participation. And with that, I'll let Carl say a few words.
Well, Lewis, I really don't have much to say about the meeting. I thought it was a good meeting. I do want to just mention one thing, that a reminder about the locates, and I'm trying to find my notes, but from what I recall of the conversation, there was a reminder put out there about, well, make sure that we're labeling the locates, like who owns what's being located, and then there's an interval, right? I think it's every 200 feet, I believe, to make sure that it's labeled the beginning and the end, and in between, if that in between is longer than 200 feet. And there was another statement said something about the
Width.
the
If it's greater than
okay.
4 inches, if it's greater than 4 inches, it's a requirement. Again, this was brought forward from the Utilities Commission as a reminder. We place these reminders multiple times, but you're going to see it again next month in the information that I'm putting together for my slide. We just want to remind folks this isn't an option, and especially with all of the telecom out there, a lot of orange paint, it's critical that folks identify who they are, so that people can make that distinction based on the different companies that are down in the ground.
Yeah, and Lewis, the only other thing I'll add is, I think Tammy, no, I think I'm trying to think who
Ann?
mentioned it. Well, I don't know if it was Ann. It may have been you, Ann. Somebody mentioned about the stickers, the magnets for the vehicles. Maybe you'll get
Yes.
to that. Yeah, maybe you'll get to that. But that's one thing I did want to just toss out there for folks to be thinking about as well. I mean, that's a great opportunity. I'm trying to push that up the flagpole here in our organization, and you think it would be simple, but it's a process. So yep. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lewis. And anything
So
you
what
want to
Carl
share?
was referring to is if your company is not able to do a tailgate wrap, we do have the magnets that have the 811 message. And in fact, when you go out, I'm sure you probably saw, there's a truck out there. I've got 2 magnets on the side of my truck. And if you're interested in some of those, we do have some left. So that's just another branding opportunity if you need those.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Sorry, we're a little distracted. Out the window here is a drug bus or something.
I'm missing all the good stuff.
Mhm.
As a reminder, tomorrow night, please, if you are a Wolfpack fan and are interested, North Carolina State will be playing Virginia Tech at North Carolina tomorrow, October 27th. And then Ann has a podcast out recently with another driver. So, oops, sorry, shot past that. Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, it was just released yesterday, Daniel Buckingham. This young man's 20 years old, been iRacing since he was 14, and he is on the ladder to go pro. So that just amazes me at 20 years old. This young man has the potential of, making a career out of iRacing. So hop out there and listen to it.
Thank you very much. You're going to hear me say this one time and one time only. I know you're probably tired of election ads, but elections are coming. We want to help everybody protect the integrity of the underground lines in the election process. So if you're working near, or you see anyone working near those polling stations and they don't have things marked, or they don't look like maybe they should be there, it doesn't hurt to remind them that they are required by law to call prior to excavation. See, very short and sweet. I have no more election commercials. As always, please invite folks to your local UCC, industry colleagues, co-workers, contractors. It is so important for our contractors to be represented. They need a voice at the table. I know we get utility company reps and our locate company reps. But we do want to make sure that those contractors are represented as well. So make sure that if you know someone who thinks that you think should be at the table, please invite them to this UCC. We'd love to have them. As always, for information on North Carolina 811 events and UCC events, visit the calendar section of nc811.org or the NC811 app. How much is that app, Roger?
Oh, it's about free.
About free, that's right. Thank you very much. It is about free. I know this weekend Parrish and I will be out at Cabarrus County. They're having a Touch a Truck event, so we'll be out there talking to folks. We'll have the Mini X. So if you have anybody that you might think might be interested, please send them that way. Education team, you've seen this bunch of faces before. So I don't have Tyler updated on this slide yet, but Steve put it together the other day and I was giving Tyler a hard time. I was like, dude, with round glasses, you look just like Harry Potter.
Oh.
Just on the cartoon version, so. Just the cartoon version. As always, folks, appreciate your time and attention. Copy of this presentation will be available at ncucc.org along with the audio and a copy of the roster. Does anyone have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback for me? I raised 2 daughters who went through teenage years. I have one feeling left. You are not going to hurt it, I assure you. With that, I'm going to turn this back over to Roger Richards, our chair.
I was glad that Lewis and Carl was talking about markings and everything. That reminded me. Out in the field, I've seen some interesting locate marks put on the ground. That's not following the APWA. I said that backwards just a minute ago. That's what we was over here laughing at.
And what does that stand for?
American Public Works Association.
Very
Is that
good.
right?
Very good.
Do I get a pay raise? Lewis, do I get a pay raise for knowing that?
A 50% pay raise, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that's my Christmas bonus. I do take pictures of that and I always share it. What's right? Look, it's already done now. Some of the things that I've been told was they put a mark down, 2 dots out on the side of it. I was trying to remember that one picture. And I was told that the mark in the middle meant the line was there and the 2 dots on each side of it meant that it was important.
What color was that?
I'm not disclosing that part of it, but from a contractor standpoint, if y'all put paint marks on the ground, it's all important to us. Most contractors, but I will tell you for us that it is important. Just the other day, now to me, the other day was probably 2 weeks ago. I know it wasn't last week, I was out of town. So 2 weeks ago, another locate firm comes out and locates something, and I asked that question, and I said, I'm new to this, can you tell me what this mark means? You got 3 marks on the ground. I said, I was taught that that's 3 lines in there. No, it's just 1 line, but it's in between there. So to me as a contractor, locators are doing that to extend that tolerance zone. And both shaking his head, so I'm glad somebody agrees with me on that. So the locate companies is not following the APWA's marking standard.
Are you talking about marking the company?
Hypothet, and you would have to put one up there with gas paint on it. It's not directed at team. It's not for, oh, but that's a good picture too. But it'd be like you putting, I'm a big, you put that mark down right there, gas line, and then put marks out here. And only one line being in the ground.
Just like the diameter, before.
Everybody's putting that, but none of that information's being put in. I know that it's not a line greater than 4 inches. So to me, I don't know. I've asked for years to be invited for new training for locators, just to speak on the contractor side. And for years, to this day, I've never been invited. Imagine that. Maybe we can work something out. But anyway, I feel like they're being directed to do it that way from the higher ups to cover themselves from a liability standpoint. It makes it harder on the contractors out there when they're potholing trying to find these facilities. Because now that they spent a mark and 2 on the outside of it, and they're extending for their potholing to work their way in fine, which in turn times money in everybody's business here. So I don't know what we could do to reach out to the locate services and.
Hey, Roger, this is Tristan. I can actually confirm that. I was actually out on one of my sites doing their initial work when they arrived, and one of the locators actually told me that they were kind of instructed to do, if they picked up something, he said he wasn't even really sure, but he was kind of instructed to mark it, and it must be some kind of liabilities. So we ended up soft digging it, and our soft dig people said there was nothing there. So he said a lot of times what they do is it's almost like a ghost line. So they end up just marking it because they're not sure, but they need to mark it anyway. So, but the soft dig, we end up wasting, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 soft digs on nothing. So, but that's been my experience several times as well.
But it's like you just said, Tristan, that locator told you that they were instructed to do that. See, so to me, it's coming from higher up.
Roger, Court's got his hand up.
Okay, Court.
Yeah, Roger, I wanted to talk, you're finished up with that one, but I had another locate I'd like to talk about a little bit and get some opinions on it as well. But, you know, wanted to wrap up yours, and then I just had another one that I would like to speak about.
Just want to talk about another issue about locate.
Okay.
So just after you finish yours.
Okay. Just remind me, Court.
Okay.
So at this point, typically, of course, there are APWA standards. There are best practices based on CGA standards of marking standards. We do not have marking standards in our law. So it's based on, you know, what the member has asked of the contract partner potentially, or their locate technician. So it's really a one-on-one discussion between that member and the locate partner. Otherwise, they should be following industry best practices. But if they're not, certainly speak to the member, you know, that will be handling that. And I think of, I think of Robert, or I think of Bear.
I was gonna say, Andy's back there kind of low key hanging out. He's being quiet though.
So,
Actually, we've had meetings and actually talked about this, so.
I think that. We've actually had meetings and I had meetings with the supervisors to talk about the status and locate, but I don't think our guys would do that, say that. Okay, because we've talked about this and we set our standards and one of our concerns, they know, I guess, he knows not to market certain ways, so I think everybody has a little issue when they have new people to come in as far as the labeling. And that's something that we stay on. Our heat supervisors stay on their guys about labeling. So that's one of my concerns every time I go out and look for the labeling. And then as far as the size of the line, it's for with 8 to 12 or maybe 10 to 12 inch lines to do that size where you got it looks like the H, the line in the middle, or it's locating. But hope it's not the gas lines. Thanks, Roger. Roger's saying no.
I'll put that back up there. But you take a contractor that works in different states and stuff, and everybody's marking different. They're gonna be confused if it's not basically marked the same one. Remember, we had this guy out here, it was marked lines like that, grass, and you brought it. Yeah, and you can mark the collar, I think. Yeah, it was nothing there. Yeah. But that's not, I'll get off that soapbox on the locator, and I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that. It's just issues that's been brought to my attention. I actually had a contractor call me last week while I was on vacation, questioning smarts and stuff like that, which I don't mind. So we was able to work through that. One of the other things, and she's sitting down over there, and I don't like.
Talk to me.
You put that up there. Oh. Here it is. Court, you want to go ahead with what you had?
Sure, sure. Well, just a couple things. Again, it's Court Bennett with ITS. Mike Hastings is with you guys in our meeting today. He's our new manager with ITS, and he's hopefully is going to be a permanent fixture at these meetings now. And, you know, we have been in the Charlotte area now. We've come in here March, April of last year. So we're working on 18 to 20 months of locating and, well, you know, working in the area. And I'd say we average somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 tickets a month is what we've been doing with the volume of work we've been doing and everything. And back when what I'm trying to, I got to locate that I've got an issue with. In the start of all this, it was kind of a arrangement with the locate companies and everything to help take noise out of the system, to be more efficient and better. And our guys are very vigilant at white lining and marking where our boxes go behind the curb. And we do what we call micro trench, where we're sawing the pavement out and putting the trench in between, a little 7-inch deep trench between sidewalk and between the curb and the pavement. But we mark our boxes diligently. But we were asked we call them locate tickets, just to call them in, locate 5 foot back of the curb, which that's what we've done for the last 18 months. Now, we've got a situation, you know, most of the time with a locating back of the curb, what's back of the curb? Now, you know, typical curb, you know, you have the curb lift, you know, the 12-inch curb, whatever, the lift, and then you have a 2 to 3, 5 foot green space and then sidewalk. And now we have a location where we were doing some work, and you have what I call the rolling curb, where you could ride a bicycle over it or a car very easily. And then the sidewalk, the 4 or 5 foot sidewalk connected to that. Okay. So where is the back of the curb then on this? And the reason I say this is we have a area, we had a damage, and the locator clearly marked the utilities, and then they were mismarked clearly by 3.5 feet. And we're actually hand digging that, and that's what we do when we set our boxes and stuff. We don't use a lot of excavating equipment, and we damaged, and now we're being argued that, well, you're working outside the scope of your area of work. But the intent and the spirit is to cut out on the noise and the locate, but it was clearly marked, clearly mismarked. And where's the back of the curb start? When you have a rolling curb sidewalk, and we clearly marked and showed where we were going to be putting that box. And, talking to Lewis communication, I don't know if the locator intended, his intentions, he located it. It was located, but it was mismarked. And now we're talking about, well, we're working outside the scope of area. And just thoughts and opinions. Roger, what's your thoughts?
Well, I was just sitting there thinking about that court as you was talking about it, and you kept referencing how the curb was different, rolling curb and everything like that. So my suggestion on that would be is when you're doing your locate ticket, why don't you change it from back of curb to edge of pavement? Then that way there, that edge of pavement is more clear than back of curb. And that's just one contractor to another.
Yeah, well, my thought process is we had a marking arrangement, and we're working with the locators and the locate community and trying to take the noise out. He knew what our intent was. He marked the utilities. You have the rolling curb, the 4 or 5 foot of sidewalk, then he marked everything behind that. But it was still mismarked, clearly.
Are you white lining also what you're wanting?
Yes, we absolutely
Okay.
white lined it, put the white line where the box was going to be set at. Correct. But then the PRGs are hung up, well, back of the curb, 5 foot sidewalk, you're working outside your scope of area. And we're hand digging. We're not using mechanized equipment. And we're doing everything we can to prevent damages. But we talk about communicating and locating in the locate community, but I guess it could have been on both sides of the story, but I think the locator knew what our intent was. I'm pretty confident he did. But, it's just one, you can't have it both ways. So do we go back calling them locate tickets to CYA, or do we try to be efficient and work together?
You want to add something, Ann?
Pardon?
Ann was going to add or comment.
The court, I just Googled what they consider a meaning of back of curb. And I think, what you were saying, Roger, back of curb means the furthest edge of a street curb adjacent to a street, which in some cases will be 10 feet from the boundary line of the building site, depending upon that area's regulations. So I think it can be different wherever you're working at. That every governmental area could be different based on their definition of back of curb. So,
and what you were just saying there reminded me of an issue another contractor ran into doing a sidewalk with the handicap ramp. They poured the handicap ramp off of another standard. So they had to take it back out. So court, I would say, depending on it, and it could be down to the county's decision on how wide a curb is and things like that. That's just why I made the recommendation. If you just change it from back of curb to edge of pavement, might make it a little bit easier.
Right. Well, I think it was pretty much a marking arrangement made with the locate community, the locators and us. And the vigilance and white lining and clear understanding of what work's being done there, that they knew what was being done. You know, they marked it. You know, they didn't, you know, I just, you know, it's just, well, it's something I'm going to take up with the utility, the owner here, hopefully, and get, you know, all I'm trying to do is what's reasonable and fair and what's the right thing, what's the intent, you know, what we were trying to do, what we're trying, we wanted to be a good contractor and do a good job and take the noise out of the system and be as efficient as we can for everybody.
Thank you.
But that's just for instance, so that's just a contractor's view, bringing an issue to the meeting. Okay. But guys, thank you very much.
Okay. Amy?
I just want to say that we're not in the practice of assuming anything. We do what the written word in the ticket states, which is what we are required to do by law. So if that changes from your white marks, we need to be notified so that we can fix that with you.
Court, did you hear that?
Say it again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it.
We're not in the practice of assuming anything. What we do is locate what is written requested on the locate request. So if the scope of work changes, we need to know so that we can change accordingly so that everyone's protected.
But I don't think that was the issue. He had actually met with the locate technician. Is that correct?
This has been an ongoing practice for the last 18 months. And we're calling in the locates 5 foot back of the curb because typically we never exceed that limit. But since the sidewalk connected to the curb for 5 feet, then that changed the back of the curb, but it was still located. It was still white lined. It was still marked. It was still understood what we were doing at this location. But since it was mismarked and now there's a bill, everybody wants to, well, you were working outside the scope of your area. And it's like, well, you marked it and you mismarked it. And we cut it hand digging, you know, looking for another utility. But, you know, it's just kind of like, well, T, where's the cooperation and the spirit of trying to do the right thing here at? You know, that's what we were trying to do. But now if the letter of the law is letter of law, just call the whole right of way in and don't worry about it. You know, that's where you go back to your CYA. How do you want it done? You know, that requires more time, energy, and locate efforts from the locate companies, and then therefore the utilities and everybody, you know.
Yeah, I
think that's kind of simplified what Court was saying is if it was outside of the scope of work, then it shouldn't have been marked. And because then we would have known to call and kind of get a mark, right? And it was marked, so then we assumed that that's where the line is, right? I don't know, I think that's what he's trying.
Yeah. You have to have an indicator of a facility being there to be able to call a 3-hour ticket.
This is one of those catch-22 situations.
That's exactly, I was thinking that in my head, I try not to say stuff like that, but you're wrong.
And to cover us, please call it a regular locate. If it takes long, it takes long. Right. That's not what we've become. So.
Well, like I said, let's not labor on this too much. It's just an instance. It's just something. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it? But thanks, guys.
Thank you, Court. Like you were just saying, Mike, I mean, they're doing 1,364 tickets a day, which that's came down. And that's why I wanted that slide back up there. the numbers guy.
Hey, Court, this is Ryan Mack with Park Construction. Definitely didn't mean to interrupt. So, but we've actually had similar instances in Charlotte, as well as Raleigh, Greensboro, Winston-Salem. A lot of the times what we've found is the communication between the on-site locator and the superintendent or foreman is awesome. It's perfect. You know, just like you said, your white lining, that's all awesome. But what kind of happens on the back end and kind of what we've discovered is that it's obviously in this instance, somebody was dispatched to make a repair. So the communication between the excavator and the on-site locator never made it back into the office of, hey, look, we did locate that it was mismarked. So it's you're right, it's a catch-22, but what it kind of boils down to is what we've found is just our ability to document all of the marks that were done, as well as taking our own measurements. If there is an investigation that happens, obviously that's definitely time consuming. We've actually started taking videos of all the marks and making sure that we get permanent landmarks within the video. And that way we can kind of say, hey, look, check our video, check our photos. But it's usually not the on-site locator, and it's usually not the superintendent or foreman. It's the guy on the back end that says, okay, I have this crew that's been dispatched. But whose fault is that? And ultimately, they're always, not always, I shouldn't say always, but if they see that it went to a damage and either the locator and then obviously the guys coming out there to repair it, that they're not doing the investigation and they're not going to place blame while you're there. So the only thing that we've done to help that is, obviously this is from a contractor standpoint, is just document the marks as best as we can. And usually that helps out on the back end because sometimes it's just some guy in the building department that doesn't understand.
We clearly have photo evidence of the marks and the distance. It's over 3.5 feet mismarked. And the crew that come out to repair this said it was mismarked and we wouldn't be getting a bill. But then whenever the company did the investigation and they find, 5 foot back of the curb, you're working outside your work zone. And that's when, it's like, wait a minute, guys, what's fair and reasonable here? It was mismarked and it was marked. Now you're the stated work area, that's the rub that, we're trying to be easy and cooperative and help it. But no, we have the photo evidence and everything. It is clearly mismarked and the paint grounds are on the, it's all there, and that's the part that's kind of, it doesn't feel
to
good.
to Court's point, I mean, we are kind of dragging this out. This is a specific instance that normally we would not tackle, that one-on-one here, but it's good that you brought forward the issue as far as, the conversations that need to take place, the documentation, critical, like you said, photo evidence, and there may be disconnects somewhere between some of the parties. But again, this is a good forum to discuss the sort of the broader scopes of that communication. But let's not get too deep into the weeds on the specifics in one particular case.
Yeah, absolutely, Lewis. Let's just move on. And I just wanted to bring that up. It's just part of, this is where we need to talk about locates and communication. And Lewis, you started out with that, so that's very good. But yeah, let's move on. That'd be great.
Let's move on because we have a good working relationship with Mike Hastings. He's has good communication with the locators. DRG made that decision, so Mike has been a good guy to work with. He has good communication. So let's just go on. Let's take care of. Mike knows to reach out to our sandbox project, and he reaches out to the supervisors, and he also calls himself. Hey, Robert Blue has issues. Okay, so let's not try to deal this relationship over something that PRG made a decision on.
Mm-hmm.
Mike has a good working relationship. Know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say it's funny you said that, Robert, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Is it goes back to that investigation company that comes out. The unfortunate side is they're gonna put the blame on somebody. And that's just something we'll have to deal with again on the back end of it. Like Robert was saying, I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but I feel like especially here in Mecklenburg County, the locators and a lot of the contractors do have a great working relationship. And I was gonna hold up on this example, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. Yesterday, Robert, one of our crews, everything's been marked, as to what was on their maps to mark. Our crew found a 4-inch gas line. They contacted me. I just turned right around and contacted Robert. Their maps didn't even show the line there, but they did send a crew leader out to double check it, and it's an old line. The thing is, we don't know if it's live or not, but we're gonna treat it as it being live. But things like that come from these meetings, making those contacts, getting that relationship, and being able to do it. We could have done a 3-hour ticket, and nothing against Heath. Heath could have come out there and been like, well, it's not on our maps, so you can't mark it. And it gets turned over to Bo and them at Sam, and then they're gonna reach back out to Robert. So in a way, we just went straight to Robert on that, and that was able to have been done by attending UCC meetings and making contacts. But we appreciate everything.
He's got the right man in the job and position sitting right here that knows how to communicate with everybody sitting in this room. So let's not do anything that mess that relationship.
Right.
Mike reaches out to all supervisors that he knows, calls me, calls Sam. So that's a good working relationship. And I had a working relationship with Mike when I was in transmission. So he knows what's going on. So let's not do anything to try to.
Yeah, this committee ain't to point
mess that
fingers or
relationship
nothing.
up because of PRG and their decision. Mike knows what to do. He knows how to handle that situation. Let's keep this working relationship going and going in the right direction.
That's right. And I agree with Robert on that. Mm-hmm. Which all the ones that I. But getting back to the numbers, I looked at this yesterday, and Tammy's good about sharing the presentation with me a day or two in advance, so I get to see this before y'all do. One thing I'm proud of, and I'll say it's this committee doing it, is our updates is down, way down from what they used to be. They're only at 1.5. Just a few months ago, they were at the 3-hour tickets is there. So that tells me we're communicating this stuff right, because people are going back through and, as Sam Gonzalez used to say, cleaning their own house, taking those tickets out that don't need to be updated. We've done great on the updates, but our 3 hours is out the roof now. I don't know. Again, is it that things are not on the maps and contractors is finding it and doing 3-hour tickets? Is the locators just missing it? And the contractor's having to do a 3-hour ticket? You know, it's hard to say. But again, 1,364 locate tickets a day, locators is busy. But it still goes back to working together. And Robert, you keep hitting the nail on the head, you know, with Mike, that we all work together at this. And that's what it comes down to. These investigation companies, they're the ones putting contractors and facility on between the rock and a hard place.
Hey, Roger. This is
Yes,
Tristan
sir.
again. Y'all were able to figure out who did most of the updates and kind of get that handled. Can y'all do the same thing? Is this same thing happen with the 3-hour, where there's a majority of companies doing the 3 hours, or is it just spread out everywhere?
That would be,
Yeah, I could hop in on that one.
Yeah.
We could certainly do that, but don't forget that the 3-hour notices are in response to that we can't even create them until the 3 full days has happened and the 999 codes are there. Unless everybody has responded, they cannot really create that if there's a gap. And then if they go out there, even if people have responded, but they see evidence, then they can create a 3-hour notice. So yes, we can look at that. I know I've heard instances of folks automatically knee jerking a bunch of 3-hour notices without really even necessarily, they just go onto the site, they just call in a bunch of 3-hour notices. So that's a different issue. Just like anything else, where codes could be misused or that kind of thing, we could look at that information. If the 3-hour notices are happening highly in a particular area, it's more reflective of maybe the stress on the locate community in that area. I mean, I've seen this in the other 2 counties, the counties that I was just at over here in the West. They've seen double, triple some of these 3-hour notices, and I believe it's more of a reflection of the pressure on the locate community to get things done on time and that kind of thing. So I'm not sure that looking at the 3-hour notices by company is going to tell us much unless there's a called out type of abuse that somebody says, hey, company A is doing this, and they're calling these in without checking the site or something along those lines. They're just automatically doing it. In those cases, that might be a different conversation.
I guess that was my point, is if it's coming down to, because typically people only call in the companies that didn't mark. So if you can nail it down to, well, this company is consistently not marking on time, then that may be a problem. Regardless of the problem, everybody's short-staffed and stuff, but it could be a problem with certain training needs or something like that. I'm just trying to figure out possible ways that could improve the system. So,
yeah, you're thinking less about like the excavators misusing it by calling them a whole bunch of 3 hours, and more so, can we identify the companies who are receiving the 3-hour notices because they failed to mark in the 3 days? Is that what you're saying?
correct, and possible training opportunities or staff issues, any possible reason, but any way to improve the system.
Well,
Correct.
the most important thing when it comes to that, as far as the contract locators go, would be that the operators are the ones responsible for making sure that they are getting these things done per the law on time. Operators, again, going back to this look in the mirror moment, I mean, operators need to be vigilant and looking at what the performance is of their own locators and take those action. They should be able to see when they're getting a preponderance of 3-hour notices and that kind of thing. And that's really where the action has to take place from. The locators, they're working on behalf of those operators. So they're kind of their proxy.
Understood. Thank you.
So Tracy, added a message. Hang on here.
Tracy did.
Yeah, the project locators are overwhelmed to the point where the few of the damages that she's gotten lately, the responses have been 999, even after the ticket is no good. That was her comment.
And Tristan, to your point too, with our LRPC, one of the reports, we are looking at those 3-hour tickets. But it's certainly based upon the county, the highest amount of 3-hour tickets. So we are, still looking at all that data to determine, some educational opportunities.
Gotcha.
And Meg was up there as one of the highest back in August, and certainly we'll have reports to share with that group in a couple of weeks.
Blank, I had something I was gonna comment on that. it may come back around.
It sucks getting old, huh, Raj?
I like their peanut gallery.
Projects and damages.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we've covered that one pretty good. But again, with our numbers, our locate request is high. And the rest of our numbers look pretty good, you know, the 3 hour is up, but honestly, with that update number being a lot lower than what it is and only at 1.5%, that's great. That's again, contributing to the committee like this. Has anybody got any questions or comments? Brian, wait a minute, Brian, wait a minute. You was laughing at Amy a while ago. You get it, so everybody else can hear you.
It's Brian Merrick from the Consultants. I would just say that on the locating side, when you get a 3 hour notice, we all get notified. So if one company did not mark, we all get notified. We all have to respond, even if we did the original locate at the time.
That's not 100% accurate. So if the people that are creating the three,
Sometimes it don't specify, but sometimes we all get the notification. So we all have to verify. Even if we marked it, we still require our guys to go out and verify that our marks are good.
So if
oh,
you're.
yeah, I'm sorry, that's up to you. But I mean, honestly, the people that are requesting the 3 hours.
Wait a minute, let me get the microphone back up there, buddy. We haven't moved
Okay.
the same around.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, what I was saying is that the people that create the 3 hours have the ability to identify just the ones that they need. If they don't do that, then yes, it gets transmitted to all the members. But we do have the ability, and so do RTE users and everybody else, to select the individual entities that they are saying need to come out. So unless you're doing that with your original ticket somehow just to verify marks, I'm not sure why you would be receiving them unless you're doing work for multiple utilities. And then when you get out, you see that one of them's 3 hour, but the other ones aren't, then you're verifying the others. But ideally, what we're trying to make sure that people do is create the 3 hour notice only for those facilities who have failed to respond or that they see evidence of. And it becomes difficult for them sometimes. If it's telecom, it becomes even more difficult when people are not adhering to the writing down your IDs on the ground. And so if that's the case, then they may see a bunch of orange marks, but then they see evidence of something, but they don't know which one of those failed to do it, right? So, that's another reason we're stressing that particular point in this case, but we are definitely educating people and that for the 3 hours, they do not need to select everybody.
And that's what I'm sorry, Aiden, go ahead.
If you're seeing someone that's abusing it, please let us know. We'll reach out to them. And there's got to be something, we just need to have an off-site conversation because there.
The system automatically pull out the folks that actually close the ticket out of the park.
Well, no, what's going to happen is somebody could have said they marked, okay, but the person on the field sees evidence of something, even though it was said that it was marked or it was responded to cleared. And they go out and they see evidence. There's a lot of people screening tickets. So there's certainly situations where somebody may have cleared a ticket and so they provide a positive response. So it didn't get a 999 code, but there's evidence of it and they can then request a 3 hour notice. That's what the law says. The difficulty is if they can't figure out which one of those members has not responded or is responsible for what they see, then they may end up sending it to the other utilities if they can't identify it. But we do have the capability, and we do educate people about this, that they can select the particular utility that they're saying has that they see evidence of, has not marked, or even if they've said they cleared it and there's evidence of it. And this is happening. So that does happen. Because again, we had the discussion earlier about the maps, you know, the updated maps or getting into the hands of the people in the field, getting into the registration with us. You know, mapping is a huge issue. So there's certainly cases where, like I said, something could be screened out, but they get out there and there's a box. They definitely see evidence of it. And so they call in the 3-hour notice.
I was gonna say too, Brian, a lot of contractors, they'll see a line coming down a pole, but they don't know whose it is. They do a 3-hour ticket, and then when,
The point is that if it comes their way,
Yeah.
we send our people back out.
Right.
to verify that we did it.
and I understand what you're saying, the gas line don't come down the pole,
Even if I get a phone call that says, hey, I marked that, I still say, go back out there.
but a CSR, did I say that right?
Customer service rep,
Okay.
yep.
They're not gonna know when that contractor calls in and says, well, I see a line coming down, but I don't know whose it is. So, you know, I'll ride that fence there. I'm gonna move over here on their side, and their defense, they're sending it to everybody to make sure it's covered.
Right.
A contractor, like Lewis was saying, if that facility owner or the locator hasn't put the facility owner's name on the ground and stuff like that, contractor ain't got a clue.
Just raise.
But they do ask them specifically. They do
Yeah.
actually ask them if they know for sure that, you know, not picking, but let's say AT&T or whatever, and they say, yeah, AT&T's is a 999 code. They didn't mark it. We need to have a 3-hour sent to them. They can just send that 3-hour notice to a single member. For the record, or a combination of members if it's a type
Right.
that they know. Okay, and there's multiples on the ticket.
How many? What'd you say, in the last 30 days?
We received 859 3-hour notices.
In the last 30 days, Heath has received 859 3-hour notices.
Okay, that they weren't responsible for? That had
That
nothing to
what?
do with them? That they were not responsible for, that they weren't for, that they had already marked is what I'm asking.
Well, they haven't got, they don't have it broken down that far.
We just pulled it.
Yeah, they just pulled that number while they were sitting here, Lewis. It'd be interesting if you could break that down and,
On spare time, I'll get right on it.
and we ain't got nothing else to do.
Well, it would
Let's
also
say
be
half
interesting
of
to
them-
make sure we,
Half
it'd
of
be
them
also
were marked
interesting
and
to,
half of them weren't. I mean,
okay, yeah, oh, and what type of facility? So is it telecom?
Yeah.
You know, okay, so 100% telecom?
is it 100% help?
We have to look at it.
They'll have to break it down, Lewis, and that's their homework for next month's meeting.
Good, because that's helpful. Because see, those are the things that are helpful, because when we go out and tell people why it's so critical to indicate on the ground the ID, which
Yes.
multiple companies here, whether it's Heath, USIC, I'm not calling them out, but multiple companies have either new people that are working there, you know, or they're just not doing the thing correctly. So, you know, it could be that there wasn't an ID associated with it, even though it was marked. I don't know that's the case. I'm just saying, you know, you should, yeah, when you break this down, try to dive into that as well to see, confirm that, you know, you've got an ID down on every one of those marks that you did, you know, that it's telecom, and, you know, and that way we can do more with that information. So it's helpful if you can break that down for us.
Brian said he'd get back to you on that. Well, hold him
Thank
to
you.
it, Lewis.
I
That'll
gotta
help with
know.
LRPC.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 weeks. Need that to 4/16.
Sure does.
No. Anybody else have any questions or anything on the numbers for last month? Right? Damage reports. I don't know who all's online. Hey, Tracy, I know you were on there. What? Well, never mind. Tracy's not on there.
I
there
am
she
up
is.
there. I just been hiding. I'm out of damage at the same time as I'm here with you, so I've been in and out of my truck. I do not have a report for you. I can tell you I am slammed. How's that? I'm the only damage investigator here at Charlotte Water for right now. We are in the midst of trying to hire and all that stuff, but yeah, I'm hopping. So we've had quite a few.
Well, you
All
know,
I can
always,
say.
you know, I'm gonna ask this because we've had this conversation, I know in the last month, how many were marked, and how many were not marked for y'all's damages, to your facility? Not what y'all damaged, but to y'all's facility. You have that?
Some of the major ones that I can remember right now off the top of my head, I had one last week that the marks were off by about 3 feet. And they actually bored right down our water line and all in front of this one piece of property. They probably hit it about 7 or 8 times. So, yeah, that was a fun one. I've seen a few of them, like I said, in that, text that I put in there, the little chat thing. I've had quite a few where it's been 999 the last 2 updates. So I've had a few of those. Those are on big projects. That's what it appears like to me, is that on these big projects, they're not able to keep up. I mean, up here, especially up here in Huntersville and Cornelius area, I've got, Blythe out there making roads bigger and doing different things. I've got all the cable people out here doing miles and miles of cable in the ground. So I can see where they're probably behind the project crews, but the 999s is what bothers me. They don't even bother calling the people that called it in and saying, hey, I can't get to it. It's not going to be marked in time. You need to call me when you're on site or something.
All right. David, you're up on the screen, so I'm gonna go to you, David Smith. I'm gonna go to you next. You still on mute, buddy?
All right. I just got a question, and it's just an observation, and if it's been addressed, pardon me for repeating it, but yesterday we received like 100 locate requests through the university, it come just to UNC Charlotte all at one time. Is that something normal, or is something going on, or what?
Well, they have a big bid coming up, next year. A lot of the, piping in the university ocean. They're having collapses, they're having a lot of problems with what was done on the campus.
I think that's,
Could be,
part of the design field stuff.
could be, because I know that there's a huge bid coming out in January, February for the entire campus.
Did you hear that, David?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
All right.
David, did the tickets have a contractor on them? I mean, who was the one doing the work?
So I lost my email, so I can't see it right now, but I'll take a look at it. I'm not sure if internally it gets screened before it gets sent to me or what, but it just seemed odd. 100 yesterday, and then like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it's the same thing. So I don't know. And I know there's only a few contractors working out on campus right now. And there's only like 2 major projects, and it just, some of it may be surrounding areas as well, but I was just curious.
Thank you.
There you go. Hey, this is Christopher Badger. I'm working with a guy named Greg Cole up at UNCC, and he said there's a huge bid coming out in the first quarter of next year. They'll be doing a lot of underground work around the campus.
Yeah, I know that we're getting reclaimed water from the Mallard Creek wastewater treatment plant to we'll run through our chillers and then also irrigate the ground. But I don't think it's none of those. I mean, not yet. But yeah, thanks for the input.
Yeah, we just did a job up there. One of the roads came in by the stadium, and so they called us in with the camera truck to go take a look in there and see what the heck's going on, and then we had to flush a couple of the lines, but.
Ben Bratcher just did a project up there, David.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. If you see those, requests and you see who the contractor is, please reach out to me. Be interested to find out what's happening.
I'll do that. Thank you, Tammy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Carl, you got anything next up there on the screen? And you're on mute. Carl may have left us.
No,
There you go.
Roger, I'm right here. Sorry, I couldn't couldn't get off mute fast enough. But no, I don't have anything else for the group. Nope. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Court, do you have anything else or Mike? All right. Dustin Hubbard. Is that right?
Yeah, Roger, I'm good, but thank you for the time today.
Thank you. Ryan Mack. Hey, buddy. That surprised me that you was on here. I'm glad you're here. You got anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. We are still on our project near the Little Hope Creek, down in the Madison Park, Montford Colonial Village area. That's still going on right now. Everything locating wise has been awesome there. So that's been perfect. Thank you guys for helping out there. Other than that, just wanted to let everybody know there's a lot of people who are usually in this meeting that are also NUCA members. So just wanted to reach back out to you guys. The young leaders have had a couple of different events, and right now we are still looking for opportunities to speak to and do community outreach. So if anybody has any opportunities that they know of, or upcoming fairs or whatever the case may be, definitely just pass that on to your NUCA representative, and looking forward to speaking to and helping out a lot of different people. So thanks for the time.
Thank you, Ryan. Is there anybody else on there I'm missing? All right. We got everybody online. Now, anybody in here in person?
I just wanted to say thank you to, yes, Mike Hasty, ITS. I know a lot of these meetings, utility companies get a beating part of it, but I'm here to say thank you to them, especially Amy. She's been terrific. Sam, Mark, Malcolm, and Bo, and definitely Robert. Just so, and Jason from USIC, but he's not here. I know. I just wanted to put out it.
Thank you, Mike. You got anything from the Duke Energy side? That's fine. And Amy, y'all have anything? Lindsay? Oh,
Unless my case has been held up on a lot of tables.
he said to get you after that. Robert, you got a report for Piedmont? Okay.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, not to put Robert on the spot or anything. All right. As far as Sanders Utility, I can tell you that we did hit a gas line. Oh, no, let me back up. We hit 2 gas lines 3 weeks ago. One was with a shovel, potholing. So this was trying to find it. We found it. The other one, the marks was all 12 foot.
Where's that?
But we got through. You know, I don't mind charging off loss of production for y'all not getting it marked right. But we appreciate that. That's my Christmas bonus I'm working on. But anyway, coattail off of you, Mike. The locators, they are doing a good job for what all they're having to deal with. 1,364 tickets a month, that's a lot. And I venture to say that a day, oh my God, y'all caught that, I was trying to slide one in. Yeah, would it be right? The thing is everybody in here and online is short-staffed and nobody can find help. You got some people want to move on. I'm sure there's people here that'll take it too. That's the biggest thing. And ultimately, it still comes down to we've all got to work together to make this work. And as I usually say at the beginning, this ain't a finger pointing session or anything like that. We got to work together on it. But if nobody has anything else, if I'm remembering right, November the 30th is the next meeting. Do we know where?
As of right this moment, provided this facility's available, we'll be here on Yancey Road,
Okay.
unless someone wants to meet at their location.
Anybody want to volunteer for that? I do think that it was mentioned earlier that if we have it here next month, Robert's providing lunch. Y'all heard that? So it wasn't just me.
Hey, peanut butter sandwiches.
What did he say he could do?
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Y'all tell me what you want, I'll do it.
I think you meant the meeting. The meeting location. is that what-
No, nobody's going to provide lunch. We'll meet here. And Robert's got lunch. Can we go in 70-30 and I'll do the 30?
Talk about it at lunch.
Yeah. Anyway, people online, be here in person next month. We will provide, lunch will be provided. Let me just put it that way. Me and Robert will go out in the yard here in a little bit and figure that out, but, Robert, I will win. I'm just going to tell you that. But no, thank y'all again for being here, taking time out of your busy schedules. If nobody's got anything else, and Tammy's coming to me.
I have one, I'm kind of concerned about lunch and you and Robert providing, because that is the week after Thanksgiving. And I'm gonna be turkeyed out at that point, just in case you were thinking about turkey sandwiches.
So I'm translating that into you're calling me and Robert turkeys.
Well, I'm thinking there's gonna be leftovers, so I'm just
Okay.
double checking.
I'm gonna buy the peanut butter and he's gonna get the jelly, so that's what it's gonna be.
There we go.
But we'll figure something out. Oh. Ann said she was gonna cook pizzas on the
No,
oven.
no,
back
I said, how about?
You know I'm deaf, so that's what I heard. Y'all can see her getting sign language to me, and it's probably a good thing, but.
She did use all her fingers.
Well, I know, but everybody be safe out there. It's, weather's cooling off. Make sure you take care of your people now that it's getting winter time. Tyler, welcome, and I'm sorry that you got to work with them. I'm glad you're at 811. I'm sorry who you got to work with. Now Lewis is all right sometimes. But no, so we'll see y'all next month, November the 30th, 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Thank y'all. Turn that thing off.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, I appreciate it.